Are you really ready to fuel your success as an investor in your personal mindset and being part of a community that wants every person to succeed? Welcome to the Thriving Investor Podcast with author, educator, successful non-traditional investor, Troy Fullwood. Turn up the volume and let's get you set up to thrive.
All right, everybody. Well, welcome back. This next session is one that I'm really, actually extremely excited about. I'm excited about all the sessions, to be honest with you. But this one here, working with capital investors, Mr. Darron Ross, and he's an experienced teacher and is no stranger to adversity. During the 2006 real estate crash, Mr. Ross suffered greatly, losing his primary residence to foreclosure. This lesson led him to study and consume all components of real estate industry. Ross has established extensive experience with private capital investors, the myriad of industry spectators, spotlighting negotiations, acquisitions, dispositions, and renovation of residential and multifamily properties. He manages acquisitions, due diligence, property evaluations, inspections, appraisals, implements all property maintenance and rehabilitation programs on his portfolio. Welcome, Darron. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. You know, that intro makes me sound like I'm some type of dynamic investment superhero, you know?
Well, you are. You're rocking the world, doing your thing, and I love that. I love that about you.
I mean, it's all been out of necessity. So believe me, it's either get it together or sleep on the couch. You know, that's what was told to me. So
that kind of necessity. Okay, I get it. There are different types of necessity.
Right.
But we understand where that comes from.
So, right, exactly. So good day, everybody. Like Troy introduced me. I'm Darron Ross. I'm known on social media as Ross the Investor, and I've been doing my thing here in real estate and investing in probably for the last 13 years or so. Just a little quick background before we kind of get into what I'm going to talk about today. It is not more so on the real estate investing side, but more of the type of options that you have in order to generate and help you raise capital to go along with your private capital raised with liquid capital investors. We're going to be talking about using some business credit and just some of the things I do with the business credit in order to complement also raising private capital. So let me pull this PowerPoint up. All right. Can you guys see that good? Let's see. All right.
Yeah, you look good over here, buddy.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be talking about business credit investing. And I do this across the U.S. So, some people, they focus on staying in their backyard. Everybody has a different way of how they look at doing business credit. I was taught how to do it on a national level, and that's just where I'm comfortable at. So give you a little background about me. Okay, so I started raising, business credit capital for investing like back in 2005. My first mentor I had educated me on how to establish corporations, how to structure them, and then not only how to structure them, but how to actually build business credit to those different entities to use that credit to invest. So my first year, I raised about $500,000 in business credit. And that was contributed to two sides of business credit. You have one side that's called trade capital, and then you have one side that's called actual liquid cash credit capital, which is, traders, staples, those type of industries, those type of locations. And then you also have liquid capital from credit cards and lines of credit. So they got raised about $100,000 on the trade side, and then once you kind of have the trade established, then you can raise more on the actual credit card lines of credit side. So built all that in 2005, 2006, and at the time I wasn't doing real estate investing, so what I knew at that time was trucking. I used to drive trucks. So bought about 3 dump trucks, and we were doing very well until that economy tanked. I think before the economy tanked, we were bringing in roughly around 15,000 a month, 15 to 20,000 a month per truck. So we were doing real well at that time. And when the economy crashed, of course, contracts slowed up, everything just dismantled everything. The credit suffered. I had to file bankruptcy, yada, yada, just the whole scenario a lot of people have went through. So when I ended up losing all that and credit was tight, you couldn't really build corporate credit or anything like that. That's when I got introduced to real estate investing. And once I kind of got introduced to actually real estate investing, I was like, wow, okay, man, this came too late. If I would have knew that before, I could have been, putting some of the capital, the credit capital into that. But nevertheless, I got introduced to real estate investing. Then I got introduced on how to raise private capital in real estate investing for the various deals. So once I got educated on raising private capital, that's what I did for the next about 3-4 years into my beginning of my real estate career. And once I kind of got comfortable with doing that, did a few deals and everything, then I was able to, the light bulb struck me, was like, okay, well, if I know how to raise the private liquid capital now I can look back at infusing the business credit along with the liquid capital to have even more capital to do. So that's what I did. I started building business credit again, along with raising the private capital. And it's allowed me to raise millions in capital. I think last year we raised about somewhere between 12 to 15 million. That's some liquid, some business capital. This year, actually in the next 45 days, we're looking at clearing like about 1.2 million in business credit capital. So it's really the time to really get back into this and really help it complement with your private capital raising to help for the real estate deals or any other type of business ventures that you're looking to do. So, of course, I told you guys about my necessity of having to learn all this stuff so I wouldn't have to sleep on the couch. And of course, with my wife and my business partner and my better half, she runs a tight ship. She keeps me in order and keep me going. But I would not be doing any of this if it wasn't for her and my 3 boys. They're the ones that keep me motivated, keep me going, keep me ready to go to the next thing. She's always coming up with these different business ventures. A lot of the investments that we do in multifamily and the notes and buying like smaller businesses, she's kind of spearheaded it. I'm more of the puppeteer, going out there, raising the capital, coming up with the strategies for the capital and everything. And she comes with these ideas and we just put it together and make it work. So we have our oldest son, Xavier, my middle son, Zachary, and my youngest son, Jackson. And they all keep me in order and going and doing what I do. So let's get into business credit and talking about what it is. Let me make sure. Let me try to move this. I don't know if it's blocking it. Okay. Let's see. It's there. Business credit, what is it and why do you need it? So business credit is the single largest source of capital that anyone can have access to if they have the right knowledge on how to obtain it. And it's very important that you have that knowledge on how to obtain it. Not only obtain it, but to keep it going, because there are things you have to do in order to keep it lucrative and keep it fun, because it's not fun once you have piles of debt that you owe on and there's no source on how to pay it or anything like that, which I went through all of that back in the 08s and 09s and just coming up out of that whole distressed situation. But we're going to talk about how business credit can help your company, steps to establishing a business credit profile. Once your business credit profiles are established, what you can do with them. And then I'm going to talk about a unique approach that we take on infusing what I call credit investors to come in and help us raise this capital and also do things to help them enhance their life too as well. Let's go to the next one. 1 second. Let's see. 1 second. Slides are not going. There we go. Okay. So how business credit can help your company? Well, first off, it provides you an opportunity to have access to extra capital to get into exclusive elite investor circles. I mean, you know, it's one thing on going in and someone is offering you an opportunity to sit at a table with some of the biggest Wall Street type of investors. And they're like, but hey, you know, there's a $30,000 fee to sit at this table. And you're looking like, wow, if I deploy this $30,000 right now, I'm not sure of the outcome of this. So my thing is, hey, let me charge $30,000 where I can pay on it monthly and see where it goes. And this is the reason why you need business credit to complement while you're raising private capital, because things like this, like mastermind groups, I mean, having to jump on last minute flights to close deals, sponsoring dinner meetings to impress potential partners, I mean, and having access to the best lawyers and accounts. Yeah, sure, you can pay for all this with cash or anything like that. But if you're really trying to leverage and grow, you don't want to outlay all that capital up front. So the business credit is definitely a tool that can be utilized to help you in that aspect while you're raising the private capital, because you just don't have to put all that capital up front, and you can have it in position for other opportunities that come along. And also with establishing business credit, it also gives you access to more capital, because once you establish business credit with some of the different business entities that monitor credit, you'll get phone calls on people offering you more credit. I just got 5-6 calls last week on people wanting to offer us different lines of credit based off of our Duns & Bradstreet profile. And we're going to get into that on the next slide. So let's go into some steps on establishing a business credit profile. Now, we're going to go through these things because I want to educate you on just some of the process and procedures you need to put in place in order to raise private capital through business credit if you're looking to do that on your own. I mean, there are companies you can pay that do all this for you. But for me, I learned from the grassroots aspect of doing every single one of these things individually. And now my company does it for other investors. And I have a staff that I work with that I've educated on how to do this. So we do it for other investors and just other people seeking different opportunities. So the first thing you want to do in building a business credit profile is you want to look at purchasing an H corporation. I know a lot of people say you can start out with a brand new next day corporation and everything, and that is true. But when I talk about raising business capital, I'm talking about raising business capital without you having to personally guarantee every loan that you apply for. Now, when you apply or get a brand new corporation and you look at raising credit under that corporation, you have to personally guarantee it like right from the beginning. And yeah, you could probably get 20, 30 to 50,000 depending on how good your credit profile is. But let's just say you don't have good credit, which was my situation when I started. I had terrible credit. I think my credit was like in the 500s or something like that. And so I could not go out and co-sign on anything. So I had to buy an Age Corp, and I started building it from there. Now, when you look at purchasing an Age Corp, if you purchase it from a state that you're not in, you have to look at getting a certificate of good standing from the current state in order to qualify it in the state that you're in. And if your corp is not registered in that state, that's what you need the certificate of good standing for. And if you're in a state like California or somewhere like that, I would definitely not suggest looking at buying an Age California corporation, because that can be really expensive because of just the fees California add on and just a plethora of fees that can be accessed to that. So once you get your Age corporation and you register it in a state that you're in, you want to look at purchasing a stock kit. And a lot of people don't speak on the stock kits, but the stock kit is the book of life for your corporation. This houses your stock certificate. It houses your meetings. It houses your resolutions. And your resolutions are what governs what the corporation does. That's why I call it the book of life, because whatever you're doing under this corporation, if you have not written out a resolution and the board has agreed on it to do it, then you're going to be in trouble if you ever get in a lawsuit or anything like that, because you'll be able to get your corporate veil pierced. And I'm not going to go too far into that because I don't want to go over too many heads, but you definitely want to have the stock kit once you purchase your corporation. Then you need to decide on a business location for the corporation. If it's an out-of-state corporation that you purchased and you need to register it, you want to look for businesses business locations where the address is not tainted by Duns & Bradstreet as a virtual office address. Now, everybody say you can get virtual offices addresses where you just buy the address and everything. That is true. But if you're going to do it that way, you have to make sure it's not a virtual office address that's one of the real popular ones, because Duns & Bradstreet will flag your corporation as just being a simile and not really being a real business at that point, because there's so many offices of businesses at that location that Duns & Bradstreet has deemed it a virtual spot. And so unless you actually go into purchasing an actual suite in that office location, then you would not fit that mold. But if you're looking to just utilize the address, and you can do that where you buy an address and you pay like maybe $100 a month, they give you a phone number with it as well. You just want to make sure it's not one of the popular virtual offices addresses, because Duns & Bradstreet will red flag it. The next thing you want to do is obtain a local number, and also say an 800 number and a fax number. Now, a lot of these steps and procedures you need to do just basically anyway if you're doing business operation, but it's extremely crucial if you're looking at building business credit, because once you get established out there in the business credit world and you start applying for credit and everything, Duns & Bradstreet does a checks and balance, and they will check and see if you have all of this stuff in place. And the minute you don't, you get flagged. I cannot stress how severe it is not to get flagged by Duns & Bradstreet, because it is a thorn in your side that you will not be able to get rid of easily. And believe me, I know this from personal experience. So that is why I'm telling you. The next thing you need to look at doing is getting it registered in the 401 directory, which is very crucial, because Duns & Bradstreet will call and check that, and they will see if you're registered in 401. And if not, that'll be another issue too as well. You want to get your business license. Of course, you should have a business license anyway if you're operating a business, but you definitely want to have it if you're looking at building business credit, because if they call, and they will call, either Duns & Bradstreet or your actual creditors that you're applying for credit will call and check and see if you have a business license. And if it's not there, then that'll also taint you too as well. And then the basics you want to also have in place, like a website. You want to get the website with search engine optimization on there. So when people go to pull your name up, especially different creditors, or let's just say like you do, like with me, when I'm calling banks looking for different notes and things like that, if they type in my company name, I want it to rank high and come up on the search engine, because if it doesn't, they might just send you to the secretary and you don't get any further on looking at acquiring anything. So you want to make sure you get search engine optimization. There's various companies that can do that. You can go on Fiverr.com. They have people that do search engine. Some are pricier than other ones. So you just got to kind of go through and pick what's best for you. And then you definitely want to have social media in this day and age: Facebook, Google, Twitter, Instagram. And then you want to look at having it with the enhanced banners. There are some lenders that will look at how much they will give you based primarily off of your social media and how many followers you have, what are you talking about on your social media, the way your profile looks. Does it look like you're an investor? Does it look like you're someone that's doing investments or handling capital? All those different things count nowadays. Before, it was not a big deal, but now they look at all of that. And then, of course, you want to have your logo, letterhead, you know, your business cards. Now, when you look at going into doing a business plan, some of the capital people will ask you for it, some of them won't. But you want to just have it just to be prepared, because when you're looking at going for bigger capital, they're going to ask you for it. You're looking at going for a $100,000 line of credit or something like that, they're going to ask you for a business plan, because they want to see that you've thought out what you're doing and you're not just out just trying to raise capital in order to just spend it on the next vehicle or anything like that. Then, of course, you want to have a business bank account. Now, my rule of thumb is there's a lot of banks, you know, and you can open it up with $100 to open up your business bank account. My thing is to go in looking strong, because you never know what that bank will offer you for opening up your lines of credit. Case in point, one of our entities out in Atlanta that we have, and we have a business account there at Fifth Third Bank. So we went in and opened it up with $1,000. And so in turn, they turned around, and after they set everything up, they was like, we'd be willing to extend and offer a credit to you guys if you're interested. So we were like, sure. It was like, well, we can extend you a $10,000 business credit card right now if that's what you guys would like. So did we take it? Yes, we did. And that was based off not going in there and doing the minimum amount. You know, I know a lot of people say you go in and start the checking account with $100 or whatever, but you want to go in as strong as you can. And if you don't have $1,000, then, you know, fine, that might not work for you. But, you know, I just say go in as strong as you can. So let's go into the major players of the business credit game. Dun & Bradstreet, they are primarily one of the top ones as far as when you're trying to establish trade lines of credit. And everyone goes to Dun & Bradstreet first off just to see what your business profile is, what it looks like. And of course, Dun & Bradstreet, they sell information to all type of lenders and investors. I mean, last I checked, I think they had about 140 million businesses worldwide that they kind of report on, and that's including here and Canada and overseas. I mean, they're big nationally and globally. So you definitely want to be set up in Dun & Bradstreet. Now, when you look at getting your what they call a DUNS number, you have two options, and you definitely have to get a DUNS number if you're really looking at trying to build credit. So you can get the free DUNS number, which the way you are able to do that is you have to be applying for doing a contract with the government or looking at applying for a government grant or something like that. And so you would go to the Federal Central Contractor Registration site, and this is a must on registering there if you're going to look at doing the free Dun & Bradstreet number, because Dun & Bradstreet will come along maybe 30, 45 days later. It could be a little later than that, but they'll check and make sure you're registered with the Central Contractor Registration Association. And if you're not, they will flag and rescind that Dun & Bradstreet number. So you want to definitely make sure you register with them. And that's the website right there where you can go and get the free DUNS number. And this will take about somewhere between 5 to 30 days to get that free number. Now, you can also do an expedited DUNS number where you pay a fee and you can get that within 5 days. And that's the website where you can go and do that too. I think the fee is somewhere between $45 to $75 or something like that to get that expedited. That would be solely up to you how you want to do that. But I always go with the free ones, being that I'm always, setting up these different entities and just having them ready to go. Once I finish building one, I jump on building another one. So always go the free route. But once you get this number, the whole plan with Dun & Bradstreet is to build what they consider an 80 plus paydex score. And that score determines how your company pays its bills that is get from the vendors. Do they pay it on time? Do they pay it ahead of time? And so you want to be in between 80 and 100. You definitely don't want to go under 80 because that means that you're not paying bills on time. And a lot of creditors and people look at Dun & Bradstreet to get their information from when you apply for anything, just to see if you already set up in their system. You get a lot of credit just for being set up in Dun & Bradstreet. Although you can, it's getting a lot of flack lately because, Experian and Equifax, which we're going to talk about, are slowly, coming on the back end of being a strong credit source when creditors are looking at your business too, as well. So Dun & Bradstreet, they also have where, you get the salesperson and they'll call you and they're trying to get you to buy into their credit building program and everything. You don't have to do that. You can build your credit organically. It just takes a little longer, but you avoid all the extra red flags and everything. Now, when it comes to Experian Business, your profile is automatically generated once you set up a bank account, and that's generated off of your EIN number. So when you set up a bank account using your EIN number, your Experian Business credit profile is started. Now, when you apply for credit with different creditors, you have some people that will report to Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Business, and then also Equifax. And you want to try and start with those creditors first because you get more bang for your buck when you get one credit approved and then they're reporting to the other creditors. So you want to look at those different options as far as when you're starting to really establish the business credit. Now, Equifax by far is one of the bigger players on the personal side, and they're really looking at getting big on the business side too as well. They do a lot of reporting for businesses in Canada, over 2.3 million businesses, over 24 million US businesses. So Equifax Business is also one that you want to get on, get a credit profile built on that too. And that one is built organically as well. It's not like Dun & Bradstreet where you could call and apply for a number or anything. It's just once you start applying for credit, that those profiles are generated and built on their own. And you also have companies that will set these profiles up and build all of this out for you. I'm just giving you some insight on how I started building it and developing it, because you can do it as an individual and, save some money. Of course, it's a process of steps, but, it just depends on where you're at financially on getting a lot of this done. So let's look at, once the credit profiles are established, what you can do with those different business credit profiles. Now, the first thing, once Dun & Bradstreet and all that is set up, you want to look at starting out with some net 30 vendor accounts. And you can do this within the first 60 days of getting your credit profile established and your corporation established. So the rule of thumb that I always say is you want to open between 5 to about 10 net 30 accounts. And these you can get without having to personally guarantee it. And once you get these vendor accounts, you start to obtain unlimited credit from the vendors. And those vendor accounts, now you might not need a $50,000 line of credit from Granger or Uline or anything like that. But here's what happens. When you're building the Dun & Bradstreet profile, you want to have those credit profiles reporting as high of a limit as possible. So if they start you out with 5, or if they start you out with 10 to 50, get as much as you can, because once those amounts show on your Dun & Bradstreet profile, it kind of starts a domino effect with other creditors. And they kind of want to end up starting matching what they see on your profile, because they want you to start using their credit instead of using that creditor that's already extended you to 50,000. Well, it's like, well, hey, if Uline gave them 50,000, then let's give them 50,000 from Granger, and maybe they'll start using our credit more. So the business credit world is kind of the opposite of the personal credit. So then once you obtain these vendor credit accounts, then you can start doing the retail business credit cards. And that's where, you might have gas cards or Staples or any department store cards that have like a Visa or MasterCard logo. And these are some of the accounts that will also start reporting on Experian and Equifax profiles. So now you'll start building those profiles up. So you want to look at opening to like 1 to 5 revolving retail credit cards. You can look at getting 1,000 to 10,000 in no PG revolving retail credit cards. And this helps you establish a stronger credit profile, because now you have your Dun & Bradstreet with your vendor credit profile. Now you'll have Experian and Equifax with the starter retail credit card accounts. So once you get those accounts built up and everything, now you can go into the bigger, larger bank credit cards, bank lines of credit. Some you'll have to personally guarantee, some you won't have to personally guarantee. So the thing is, you want your corporation to be strong enough on the credit reporting side to where it's to a point to where when they pull your business credit profiles, they are not looking for you to personally guarantee anything any longer, because the business has established its history in obtaining credit, being able to pay for it. And so now all you are is coming in as a signer or an officer of that particular entity, and without having to personally guarantee it. So you want to look to open, I say, if you have to personally guarantee, no more than 2 credit cards that you personally guarantee under your entity. And hopefully it'll be a large amount, something where it's like 20,000, 50,000, something like that. Because once you personally guarantee and that type of a credit card shows on your Experian business or Equifax profile, now the same domino effect to happen when those creditors pull that actual profile. They'll see, oh, well, they already have a credit card, with a $50,000 limit. So they'll either do half of that or they'll match it. So, but it won't go below half of that. So that'll help you establish, stronger, higher credit card profiles and lines of credit. So like I say, you want to look at revolving credit card accounts somewhere between 10 and 50,000. And once you kind of get these accounts and you're showing that you can pay on them and utilize them, then once you do that, it's the game is on for you to really be able to build and blow out your corporation with corporate credit. Now, I know some of you are saying, man, I don't want to personally guarantee it. I don't want to put my credit on the line in case something happens and the business fails. It could happen. And, so the way I always look at structuring is I've come up with a program that I call a CFO credit investor program. And this credit investor program I've come up with for 2 reasons. One of my main reason was because my mom, who's retired, but, she's tired of sitting around. She wants to get back out in the workplace, but, she's over 60, so no one is really going to hire her. So she's like, I just want to make some extra money. And if, I can make some extra money, then I can take some trips. I can do my thing, right? So, after about a month or 2 of hearing her say that, I was just like, you know what? What if I added you as an officer under my corporation? We can go and get lines of credit using your credit as a personal guarantor. And then that way you can make some money off of the line of credit that we generate and off the investment that we invest that line of credit in. So now you're looking at making money by just signing your signature. So she loved it. And we've been doing that for, the past year. And so I was like, the light bulb went off. And I was like, well, there's a lot of people out here who's had job loss, who have been laid off. I said, wow, I wonder if it's more people that would be interested in doing something like this. So I put a few fillers out there and everything. Lo and behold, it's caught on like wildfire. I mean, we can't even keep up with the people that's called us to want to be in the program. I mean, like right now we have a waiting list of about 20 people that, we have to work through and get them prepared and ready. Now, let's go through some of the characteristics of an optimum credit investor when they come to you and you want to put them, let's say you want to utilize this program and put them under your entity. Now, you want to look at it and make sure, of course, they have, I would say, a 700 to 720 credit score on all three credit bureaus. They got to come in credit strong because otherwise it defeats the whole purpose of what you're trying to do. They must be a U.S. citizen with all the different hoopla that's going on with, laws and everything. It definitely can't be someone from another country if your corporation is here in the U.S. You want to make sure they have 3 or more revolving credit accounts with credit limits over $10,000 or more. Because if you're looking for them to PG and a bank looks at their credit profile and they only have like 3 or 4 credit cards and the maximum amount they have on the line of credit is like $2,000 or $3,000, then that's not going to help you with what you're trying to do with raising capital. So you want to make sure they have at least 10,000 plus on various different accounts on their credit profile. You want to make sure that their utilization is at no more than 30% on their credit cards, because anything over that, the banks look like it might be a risk or a challenge. The only way you can kind of offset that is if you have strong business financials and things of that nature. But if you just bought this age corp and you're setting it up, you might not have those financials or anything in place yet. So you're strictly going off of the CFO's credit profile. You want to make sure that they at least have had an auto loan that's currently opened or it's been closed. The same with a mortgage, either whether it's been currently opened or closed. You want to definitely have those 2 factors on that credit profile. You want to make sure there's no bankruptcy. They don't have any state or federal tax liens, no collection accounts, no public records, lawsuits of any kind, no late payments, no more than 6 inquiries in the last year, and no more, and a minimum of 7 to 10-year credit history. Now, I know you're saying, wow, that's like finding a needle in a haystack nowadays. And that is true. But the beauty of what I've come up with is that we have a way to put all of these factors in place on a person's credit profile and to be able to clean up their credit profile if it's challenged. So what I've done is I've taken people that have been laid off, that has had bad credit. We've put them through our program. We've cleaned their profiles up. We've been able to add certain attributes to their credit in the form of trade lines to get them credit strong. And now they're ready to go into our program with becoming a CFO, credit investor, and to be able to really just sit back and make money off of just utilizing their signature and making them a CFO of our company. Now, I know what you're thinking. The next thing is, well, of course, when they go apply for credit, one of the questions on credit applications is usually, well, how much income do you make as a CFO? Now, with a corporation, and let me just throw this disclaimer out here. I'm not by no way, shape, form, or fashion giving you legal advice, tax advice, or anything. This is just an instructional process that I'm talking to you about. And I'm just telling you theoretically what can be done in certain processes and situations. Now, with that being said, you can project through a corporate entity the type of income an individual would make as an officer of your corporation and what the actual corporation will make if they do not have current income. You can project that amount. That's why I say it's crucial to have a business plan in place too, because you can also submit that business plan along with your application, and that'll take away all the worries and the woes of that particular creditor, because that's going to be their main thing is how much income are you generating? If you're not what is the likelihood of you generating this income? So the business plan lays all that out, and it gives them the insight into how you plan on being able to pay that credit back. Now, let's go with some basic questions that I always get when I talk to different people about what I'm doing. Well, first of all, they want to know, what is the CFO Credit Investor Program? And it's just a credit-based business opportunity for someone that might be at a point in their life where they're not generating the income they want, or they want to make more income, but they don't want to take any risk themselves as far as trying to figure out something else to do to generate income. So they want to just be able to sit back and get what I say mailbox money or signature money, where they just show up, they sign up, and then they get a percentage of that actual loan and a percentage of the investment off the back end of that. Now, you say, okay, well, if I find one of these individuals, or if I myself personally want to do it, how much can I make per year off something like this? Now, the minimum that you would eventually make is somewhere around $50K. I mean, that can go up to whatever amount, depending on based on how much credit can be raised, and generated based off that individual and the entity collectively together. That's why it's imperative to build up the business credit profiles. Once you attach this CFO, now the business is strong. You got a strong operating CFO. Don't worry, that's not a person that has to be a CFO for the actual operational side of it. You can submit within your corporate bylaws that this is a CFO just for credit building purposes, an alternative CFO. And that will relinquish any other aspects of CFO duty in the actual day-to-day operations. So it's just a CFO for credit building purposes. But, they can look to stand and make an extra $50,000+ a year just by signing on, as a personal guarantor for the type of lines of credit or loans you're going to look at getting. And you say, so how long does it take for them to start making money? Well, once you have an entity that's strong enough with credit profiles, once you attach that CFO to them, you can go and get credit within that, week or two. You can start in 21 business days. You could have been raised a lot of credit. Now, let's stop right there, because I know what you're thinking. Well, once we apply and get credit under them, now you got inquiries and you have, yeah, that is true. And that's why what we do is we remove those inquiries. We do what we call a 90-day run. So in 90 days, we apply. And of course, you're not applying blindly. You know when you're going in, what to expect, what they're looking for, and you have all of that ready. So you apply simultaneously to different credit entities. And once those inquiries show up on a credit profile, we get those inquiries removed, and then we start another 90-day process after those loans have showed under the business. Because remember, they don't report on the personal side unless you default on that actual loan. So that's real imperative to explain to your CFO credit investor partner that these will not report on your credit report, so it won't damage or offset your credit. Only thing you got to worry about doing is getting the inquiries removed, which we focus on doing right after they get applied. So that goes to the next question. Are these personal business lines credit? They're all business lines credit, so they do not show up on your personal credit profile. Would a business, no. Would it report to my personal credit? No, it won't report. And say, do you use any of the individual's personal credit cards? No, we do not. With our program, we pay 100% for everything that has to be done. Once the CFO credit investor signs our contract agreement, from that point, it's a 90-day process. And in 90 days, once we build out the entity and everything, then they can start looking at being ready to apply. There are certain things that they have to do in order to keep themselves as far as credit worthy and everything. And we explain and lay all out, explain all that once they decide to get into the program. But these are just some different options that you can do alongside of raising private capital and going after your different investment opportunities. Because, hey, if you got to get on a flight to close a deal and you can just swipe that credit card without having to shell out that $700-800 in capital for that flight right then and there, I mean, that definitely helps with, keeping your liquid capital, process. So here's all my information. If anyone has any more questions or would like to email me, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, get in touch with me, and, I can advise or direct you on however I can, but that's it. That's what we're kind of doing right now. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything, or if you have questions, Troy.
No, I thought that was great. It was great input and great insight to what you've been doing. And I've had the pleasure to kind of walk alongside you during this journey for the last couple of years as you've done this for yourself and for quite a few other people. And it's amazing that what you can do and what you can build if you just have the right tools and resources and connections. So it's an honor to have you here today. And
yeah, I mean,
it's with everybody. It's great stuff. So I know there was one question. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, it's definitely for me, the program, it helps changes a lot of people's lives that are really not making income. And a lot of people don't really understand about leveraging and utilizing their credit to make income. So I kind of educate them on that too as well. And, just the responses and the thank yous and all that is just overwhelming on being able to just kind of help people advance and enhance their individual lives as well. So,
yeah, I mean, for me, one of the things that when I was putting this together and inviting people to speak, and I was honored that you accepted my invitation, my mindset was I wanted to show people next level stuff. Like, it's great that, if you've got a rich dad or a rich mom or a rich aunt or uncle who can come alongside and give you a little bit of money to go buy a property and fix and flip, or can invest in a note and do those things. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. At some point, though, you'll either use up all their money, or they'll decide they just don't want to invest anymore because they're at a different season in their life and they just want to hold on to their money, even if you've been successful at it. And so I wanted to encourage people to start thinking what's next. Like, if you've been successful at private money and doing some of those things that have been explained or shared or shown to you, that's wonderful. But there's another level to that, and then there's even another level to that, and there's another level above that. And I think that you definitely move people in that direction of scaling their business up and actually growing and building and structuring a real business that has lines of credit, that builds lines of credit, that gets the attention of Wall Street, Dun & Bradstreet, and other major capital investors. And as you mentioned, as your paydex score goes up, it stays above that 80% or 80 score.
80 plus, yeah.
80 plus. It's going to attract the attention of other lenders out there because they're looking to lend you money. They're looking to give money away. And what it's always I can always tell when people say, well, I can't find money and I can't find money. I can't do this. And it's the reason they can't find money is because they haven't prepared themselves to find the money or to allow the money to find them at the same time. And I think your model here shows people very well how to do it. Not to mention, it's not rocket science. We're not curing cancer or solving world hunger here. We're really just taking a shelf corporation and putting the right characteristics to it and doing it the step-by-step process to make it so that it's viable for attracting money. And then you can use the money for whatever you want. Like you said, travel expenses, expensive dining, dinner. I mean, you and I have been in a situation where we've met an investor And all of a sudden, like, we meet them for the first time. And like, let's do dinner. Dinner sounds great. And what's that investor do? He picks the most expensive restaurant in the neighborhood and says, me and my team want to eat here. So it's not just you and them, like them and their team. And their team's like 4 or 5 people. And they go there and start ordering bottles of wine and you know, they order what they want because you're picking up the tab. And that tab could be, you know, $600, $700, $800, $900.
Right.
So, and they don't care because that's a barrier to entry to getting, you know, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 million, $20 million, $100 million, whatever it is, because they want to test the waters. They're like, are you a player? Are you at the same level that we are? And it's interesting. So having that available, like, how
they'll definitely test you and see how serious you are. And so you know, it's either that or, you know, you washing dishes there for a week to pay the bill off. So, well, I'd rather have the business credit in place.
Well, and what's interesting about it is that the examples you gave are examples that we have lived through just 5 months ago, 6 months ago.
Exactly.
You know, it was interesting because, you know, the whole dinner thing, and then all of a sudden, everybody went home to their respective states, and then they called a meeting like 3 days later, like, hey, everybody fly back. Well, when you buy an airline ticket with 24 to 72 hour notice, we all know how expensive that ticket is. It's not the $97 one-way trips. It becomes $9.97 one way.
Right. Definitely.
It just is what it is, and that's what I love about what you're doing. So, well, Darron, it's been an honor having you here this morning. Appreciate your time today. Great insight, great explanation of what you've been doing and how you've been helping other businesses there in California and around the country. And I see this happening every day. Darron's doing it for people all the time, and all different types of businesses. It's not just real estate that he focuses on. He meets a lot of different people with different entrepreneurial backgrounds that he helps. So keep that in mind. You've got his email. You can reach out to Darron, and he'll be more than happy to return the favor and return your response.
Right.
All right, Darron.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Troy. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
Tell the boss I said hello over there.
Oh, I will. All right, my friend. Have a great day.
All right, have a good day.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the thriving investor community. Please share this podcast with a friend or a business associate that you know, like you, is interested in learning from top mentors in the non-traditional investing, real estate, crypto, blockchain, buying debt, and so much more. Troy wants to give you a gift, so go to troyfullwood.com/book to get your free copy of Troy's latest book, The Power of Paper. Again, that's troyfullwood.com/book to get your free gift. Go check out the latest episodes and shows at the Thriving Investor community at thethriving investor.com.